Good morning, Form 1s. I haven't spoken to you in such a long time, and it's so nice to make a video for you again. In today's video, we are going to go and look at what we call the general ledger. Now, your teachers would have touched on this last week, but I'm going to use this video to explain exercise 51 on pages 140 to 141 in your textbook. And then next week, your teachers will continue to do exercises like this with you until you get the concept. Okay, so just briefly, a general ledger is a document with all of the accounts in the business. Can you remember we did some T accounts and we said for every transaction, there are two T accounts affected, and the one is always bank and the other one depends on what happened in the transaction. Now, instead of having two T accounts for every single thing that happened in the month, we created a document that gives us a summary, and it shows all of the T accounts of the business with the transactions in them. Okay, so if you look on page 140 to 141, you will see such a document. It has two sections, a balance sheet section, which is for all of the assets, owner's equity items, and liabilities, and a nominal section, which is only for the income and expense accounts. Now, to help you, I have created a document. It's also in Google Classroom, and it's called a step-by-step guide to post the CRJ and the CPJ to the general ledger. The document looks like this. Okay, so I'm going to go through this document and post the general ledger using this guideline. Well, these guidelines. Step 1 says give your general ledger a title, and it must always say the general ledger of the business's name for the month and the year. So if you go and look at my general ledger, I said it's the general ledger of Fastness Unlimited for March 2005. How do I know that? Because we gave you the CRJ and the CPJ that goes with this general ledger, and the CRJ and the CPJ says it's the company's name is Fastness Unlimited and the month and the year is March 2005. Step 2 says classify each of the given general ledger accounts. Okay, so you have to go and classify it as either an asset, a liability, an owner's equity item, those would be only capital and drawings, an income or an expense account. And just a tip, if you do not know the classes of your accounts, which you should know, you have to use the inside of the back cover of your book. There's a nice list. And then step 3 says you have to show on which side each account increases and decreases using dead and click. Now, if you can remember, we used dead and click when we did the T accounts. Dead is a little acronym that we use to identify which accounts increase on the debit side, all of the expenses, all of the assets and drawings. And click without a K is an acronym to help us to identify the accounts that increase on the credit side. It would be all of the liabilities, income, and capital accounts. Then I say to you, remember accounts are like batteries. If they increase on the one side, they will decrease on the other side. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to run through the general ledger with you, and I'm going to do step 2 and step 3 at the same time. Okay, so here we go. The first account is capital. It's in the balance sheet section. That's why it's account number B1. And as you know, capital is an owner's equity item. Because capital is the C of click, the plus is on the credit side or the right-hand side. And then obviously the minus is on the debit side. The next account, drawings, account number B2, is also an owner's equity item, but it differs from capital if we look at dead and click. Drawings is the D of dead at the bottom, therefore it increases on the debit side and it decreases on the credit side. The next balance sheet section account on your list is machinery, account number B3. Now machinery is an asset, and assets are the A of debt, so it increase on the debit side and decrease on the credit side. Then I want you to change your account number B4 on your general ledger. It says equipment at the moment, but please change it to vehicles. Now, vehicles is also an asset which increases on the debit side and decreases on the credit side. I'm making my plus and minuses just using dead and click. Bank is also an asset. Okay, it's the A of debt, so the plus is on the debit side or the left side and the minus is on the right side. Trading inventory, account number B6, is also an asset, so the plus is on the debit side, the minus is on the credit side. And then the last balance sheet section account that you have in front of you is petty cash. Now, we don't deal with the petty cash journals, but you need to know that petty cash is an asset and it also increases on the debit side and decreases on the credit side. Then the next section starts, the nominal section. Okay, remember I say to you, nominal section can only have income and expenses, so this can guide you a little bit. And you will see now the accounts are numbered using an N for nominal. So the first account in the nominal section is sales, which is an income account, and income accounts form the I of click. That's why the plus is on the credit side and the minus is on the debit side. And then cost of sales is nominal account number 2. It's an expense. Expenses are the E of dead. So the plus is on the debit side, the minus is on the credit side. And then we've got rent expense, nominal account number 3, which is also an expense. It's in the account's name. So the plus is on the debit side or the left side and the minus is on the credit side. Then nominal account number 4, you've got material costs. The plus is on the debit side, the minus is on the credit side. Nominal account number 5, we've got packaging material, which is also an expense. Plus is on the debit, minus is on the credit. Nominal account number 6, we've got wages, which is also an expense. The plus is on the debit, the minus is on the credit. Nominal account number 7, we've got fuel, also an expense. The plus is on the debit, the minus is on the credit. Nominal account number 8 is telephone, which is also an expense. So it's the E of dead, the plus is on the debit and the minus on the credit. And nominal account number 9, we've got water and electricity. The plus is on the debit, the minus is on the credit. I hope you have realized how important it is to know the back cover of your book and to know dead and click. One of the reasons why this is so important is because you will see that usually we only work on the sides where the accounts increase. There are 2 exceptions, however, and the 2 exceptions in Form 1 are only bank and trading inventory. So if you know your dead and click and you know on which side an account increases, then it would help you to never post an entry on the wrong side. Okay, then if we look at our guide, step number 4 says you have to post the cash receipts journal. Now, there are a few steps to post the cash receipts journal because we want to get all of the transactions that happened in the month on the general ledger. And I'm going to do it step by step. Okay, so if you look at the CRJ, we will only use the column totals of the CRJ and the sundry account amounts. So if you want to, you can neatly cross out all of the amounts on the inside of your CRJ so that you don't get confused. Because what I've experienced from teaching Form 1s in the past is that you want to go and post every single amount inside the CRJ. That would take us forever. So we say we only use the column totals here at the bottom and we use the individual sundry account amounts there. If we look at our step-by-step guide, this first step says take the total of the bank column and post it to the bank account. On the debit side, because bank increases in the cash receipts journal, we've earned money, and it says you post it on the last calendar day of the month. Now, I want you to make a mental note for yourself that all of the column totals, whenever we post the column total, we will post it on the last calendar day of the month, not the last day that we had a transaction, the last calendar day. And whenever we post sundry account amounts, we will post it on the day when the transaction took place, but you will see as we do it. And then in bank, we will write total receipts in the details column. Might all seem a little bit weird, but just let me show you. Okay, so in the CRJ, we are going to take the total of the bank column. So we are going to use the 142,000. Then we are going to go to our bank account, balance sheet account number 5 in our general ledger. And on the plus side, because it's the cash receipts journal and we received money, we are going to make an entry. Now you will see the plus side and the minus sides are both divided into columns. There's a column for the date, where we will write the month, the year, and the day. A column for the details, we will write something specific. A folio column, where we will write which journal we are busy with, and then an amount column for the value. So when we post that column total, it will look like this. You will write March 2005, and you can abbreviate the month, MAR. It's on the last calendar day of the month, the 31st of March, because it's a column total. Okay, and we only total our columns at the end of the month. Then I said in details, you must write total receipts. Now the reason why is because remember, in bank, we will put all of the money that we received for all of the various reasons, for sales, for capital, for current income, and blah, blah, blah. Okay, so you write total receipts. We got this value from the CRJ, and the value was 142,000 Rand. Then the next step on our guide says post all the sundry account entries to their respective accounts. Okay, so what you will do is you will go through the sundry accounts and you will take it entry by entry and post it to the account. You will post it on the credit side, okay, because we already debited bank with all of the total of our receipts. Now we will work on the credit side on the day that the transaction took place, and you will write bank. Okay, so let me show you. It might be confusing, but let me show you. So in your CRJ, you go to the sundry accounts column. This CRJ only had one entry. It was on the 26th, and it was 50,000 Rand for capital. Okay, so what we do is we use the details column to tell us which account we will go to. We will go to capital, and we have to post the 50,000 Rand on the credit side of capital. But now this is not a column total, so we have to post it on the day that the transaction took place. So you go and look in the dates column, and you will see it happened on the 26th. And then the reason why we will write the bank in the details column is because remember, every single value in the CRJ went to bank and somewhere else. Can you also remember with all of the T accounts that we've done, is in bank we wrote another account's name, in all of the other accounts we wrote bank. Okay, so in your general ledger, if you look at capital, you go to the plus side. Remember I said we always work on the plus sides, or in this case the credit side, and your entry will look like this. You have to write the month and the year again in every single account, but now because it's sundry accounts, we do it on the day when the transaction took place, which was the 26th. We write bank in details. We are still busy with the CRJ, and the value was 50,000 Rand. Then our next rule is we have to post all of the other column totals to their respective accounts except cost of sales. Okay, and it's almost like what we did with capital now. We post it on the credit side. You will see it will be the plus sides of the accounts, but because it's column totals, it will be on the last calendar day of the month, and we will also write bank in the details column. So let's go and look at our CRJ. There's only one other column except for cost of sales, and it's sales. So we will take this 92,000 Rand and we will post it on the credit side of sales. So you go to sales, on the credit side, you will write March 2005. The 31st, because it's a column total, you will write bank, CRJ, and the value. You will see in bank we will write total receipts, in everything else we write bank. And then the next step says we have to post the cost of sales column. Now, cost of sales is an exception. You know, in languages, they always teach you a rule, and for every rule, there's an exception. In accounting, there's also an exception, and that exception is the cost of sales column. It's the only column that we will post to two accounts, and it's the only value that we won't say bank in the details columns. Okay, so what happens is cost of sales goes to two places. It goes to the debit side of cost of sales and the credit side of trading inventory. And if I were you, I would study this. This is very, very important. Okay, so let's deal with the debit side of cost of sales first. Okay, we will do it on the last calendar month. And because it goes to those two accounts, in cost of sales, we will write trading inventory. And in trading inventory, we will write cost of sales. Let me show you. If you look at your CRJ, we are speaking about this value, the 34,716 Rand and 99 cents from cost of sales. Okay, so we will take this value to two places, and it's the only value, make a note, the only value that goes to two accounts, cost of sales and trading inventory. Cost of sales is an expense in your nominal section. So we work on the plus side. We say our expense is more. You write the month and the year, the date, but now you write trading inventory. Okay, because we're also going to write this value in trading inventory. And you write CRJ because we still got this value from the CRJ, and you write the value. But then you are not done with that value. Remember, that is the only value that goes to two places. You must also take it to trading inventory. And to explain this to you, the reason why we do this is because we are going to say the fact that we sold a product has a cost associated with it. And that cost is that we have less products left in our store. If I had 5 apples and I sold 1 apple, now I would have 4 apples left. Okay, so that's why we go and work on the minus side of trading inventory. You will write March 2005, the last calendar day of the month, because we're still working with a column total. You will write cost of sales because this same value is also in cost of sales on the opposite side, CRJ, and then we use the same value. This might not make sense. The more we do it, the more you will get used to it. But my advice to you is to study it. Okay, so now we have used all of the values in the CRJ. So we can go to the CPJ. And luckily, the CPJ is easier than the CRJ because there are absolutely no exceptions. The first thing we do is we also use the bank column total. But now, if you think about the cash payments journal, it's all about spending money. Okay, so we are spending money. Therefore, we will go and work on the side where bank decreases, on the minus side of bank. Let me show you. Okay, so if you look at your CPJ, it looks like this. I'm just going to scroll down a little bit because my screen is not big enough for everything. But here we have the bank column total. We're going to work with this total. And as you can see, every single value in the CPJ went to bank and somewhere else. So we will write on the credit side of bank, and then for everything else, we will write on the debit side. Because remember, in accounting, every debit has a credit. Okay, so this value must go to the side where bank decreased because this value represents all of the money that we've spent in this month. So you go to bank in your general ledger. You will see bank and trading inventory will be the only accounts with entries on both sides of the accounts. Then you still write the date in the dates column. You must write it again, even though you wrote it on the left-hand side already. But now, instead of saying total receipts, which we did with the CRJ, you're writing total payments because this value represents all of our payments for the month. Then you say we got it from the CPJ and the value was 56,838 Rand. Now our next step says post all of the sundry account entries to their respective accounts. you will see there are many sundry account entries in the CPJ. We will post it on the debit side of each account because remember we credited bank now. Okay, and you will see the debit sides will always be the plus sides of these accounts. And remember, we only work on the plus sides. You will post it on the days that the transactions took place because it's the sundry account section. It's not the column totals. And in each and every one of them, you will write bank in the details column. You will see it's quite repetitive, but that makes it easy. Okay, so if we look at our CPJ, we have got all of these sundry account amounts. We've got water and electricity on the first of 560 Rand. Okay, so let's go and post that. You go to water and electricity. On the debit side, you will write March 2005. Remember now, because it's sundry accounts, you write the date that the transaction took place, the first. You write bank CPJ, and the value was 560 Rand. Then the next one was on the third, we had petty cash for 100 Rand. So you go to petty cash in your ledger. On the debit side, on the plus side, you will see it will be on the plus side the whole time. You write March 2005. Remember to write the third because that's when this transaction took place. Bank CPJ 100 Rand. Then the next one is telephone on the 5th. Okay, remember we're only focusing on sundry accounts now, and the value is 351 Rand. So you go to telephone in your general ledger. On the debit side, you will write March 2005, the 5th, bank CPJ. Like this. And the value. Can you see it's very repetitive? The only things that change at this moment is the date and the amount. And obviously you must do it in the right account. The next one is vehicles of 13,000 Rand, and the transaction took place on the 8th. I get the date from the dates column. So you go to the vehicles accounts, still on the debit side or on the plus side, you write March 2005, the 8th. You write bank CPJ in every account. And then this value of this transaction was 13,000 Rand. Next one was machinery, 9,000 Rand on the 13th. So you go to machinery. On the debit side, you write March 2005, the 13th, still bank CPJ, 9,000 Rand. You must write March 2005 in every account, and you must write bank CPJ in every account. All of this will give you some easy marks. Then the next one was packaging materials, 927 Rand on the 14th. So you go to packaging materials. You write on the debit side or the plus side, the 14th, March 2005, the 14th, bank CPJ and the value. Next one, rent expense, 2,500 Rand on the 18th. So you go to rent expense in your general ledger. On the plus side or the debit side, you write March 2005, the 18th, that was the date of this particular transaction, bank CPJ and the value. Next one, we're almost done. There's petty cash again of 1,000 Rand on the 23rd. Now, something that's very important is because they happen on different days, we don't add them together. So in petty cash, we already wrote March 2005. You don't have to write that again in the same account. But now you write on the 23rd, we had another transaction, and you write bank CPJ again. You can't make these little thingies, okay? That won't be accepted. You have to write bank CPJ out, and it's 1,000 Rand. And then the last one was fuel, 300 Rand on the 25th. So you go to the fuel account. On the debit side, you write March 2005, the 25th, bank CPJ, 300 Rand. Can you see that it's actually super easy and super repetitive? Just follow your step-by-step guide, then you will understand this section. Now that we've dealt with all of our sundry accounts, let's look at the last step. It says post all of the other column totals to their respective accounts. Okay, the reason why I said post sundry first is because you post them on the days that they take place, and then column totals because column totals will be on the last calendar day of the month. Okay, so it's just then you do it in the order of the days of the month. And all of these amounts will still go to the specific accounts. Still on the debit side, you will still write bank CPJ. It's just now on the last calendar day of the month. So if you look at our CPJ, we had a wages column of 3,000 Rand. So in the general ledger, you go to wages. On the debit side, you write March 2005. But now because it's a column total, you write it on the last calendar day of the month. Still write bank CPJ, and the value was 3,000 Rand. Then the next column total was material costs for 25,000 Rand. So you go to material costs in your general ledger. You work on the debit side on the 31st because it's a column total, bank CPJ, and you write the value. And then last but not least, we've got drawings of 1,000 Rand. So you go to the drawings account, which is your second balance sheet section account. Also on the debit side, which is the plus side, you write March 2005, the 31st, bank CPJ. Then you would see on that document, I said test yourself. Okay, so a way that you can test yourself now is if you add all of the values on the debit side of your account together. So if you start with this, capital didn't have a debit side value. So you say drawings was 1,000, plus machinery was 9,000, plus vehicles was 30,000, plus this 142,000, plus. Okay, so you add all of the values on the debit side together. You get that total. Then you clear your calculator. And you start on the credit side with capital, and you add all of the values together on the credit side, and you get that total. Then you will see the two totals must equal each other. Another tip is that if you look at your ledger, we would have worked on the plus side of every single account except these two accounts, bank and trading inventory. They are the two exceptions in Form 1. Bank have entries on both sides. Trading inventory usually also have entries on both sides. It just didn't have in this exercise, but you will see in the next exercise. Okay, and that's it for now. Next week we will make it clearer and we will go through this until you get it.